If you want to get straight to the story, skip ahead to 2 minutes. Humans aren't the only ones leaving ghosts behind. This world is a strange one. In an effort to read more of your stories, I am adding another individual story to the list. This time, it is a bizarre story of a Jurassic haunting. That's right, an encounter with the ghosts of dinosaurs. Whether this experience was a fever dream or a crazy paranormal encounter, it is sure to leave you scratching your head and pulling the blankets over your face. But before we start, I do want to give a shout out to Adam, who has donated the first $25 to my new project. I've noticed a lot of people check out my website, darknessprevails.org, to submit and read stories, but rarely do people comment or discuss. So I got in touch with a company with the idea to program a new system on my website. Now I'm here to ask you guys for help. If I can get $1,000 raised, either from myself when I have extra money saved, or from you amazing people who decide to donate, this project would transform the website into a paranormal and horror-loving community. Users would be able to create profiles and earn experience points by reading new posts, commenting and sharing stories, submitting stories, and logging in daily. These experience points unlock new levels and badges that would show on your profile page and next to your icon when you leave a comment. Early levels unlock access to our forums for further discussion, and later you could unlock other things like editor privileges to proofread and edit people's posts, become an administrator in the forum, and even get a shout out on our channel. So if you think that sounds like an awesome idea, you can support us by donating at darknessprevails.org/project. Okay, thank you guys for listening if you did. I don't want to keep you from your terrors any longer. Here is Jurassic Hauntings, submitted by Dyfah A. I have been contemplating if I should share this story or not, but a few people said it sounded interesting, so I figured I'd crawl into bed and reminisce about one of the most terrifying things to ever happen to me. I hope you enjoy. This is going to be a long one. Here's a little backstory. My house was fairly new by the time my parents had bought it, only about 8 years old. This story will not have all of my haunting experiences, which I could write a book about, but one specific haunting. By law, the seller is supposed to disclose any deaths in the house within the last 10 years. Of course, this owner failed to shine a little light on that topic. The house had had about 3 owners before us. The house was about $780,000. I called my mom to verify that number. That's a big number, but it was seemingly low for this house and the property it was on. But the owner assured us that there were no issues with the house, and don't get me wrong, there wasn't. At least, not physically wrong with the house. At this time, I'm about 9 years old. I'm sharing a room with my little sister who was about 7.5, and I was almost 8. I had an overwhelming obsession with dinosaurs. Of course, I still do. In the middle of the night, I'd have these nightmares. Just these unbelievably realistic nightmares. I'd have dreams of Tyrannosaurus Rex obliterating my house and chasing and eating everyone. I would see the T-Rex quickly snatch me up, but in first-person view, so it felt very real. And all my other dreams were pretty much a confuffle of anything dinosaurs or someone dying. I almost didn't go a night without one. After waking up each time, I'd be shaking and sweating. I would rush over to my little sister's side of the room and hop into her bed. She would always wake up with a sigh. "What are you doing? Why are you in my bed?" she'd ask. "I had a bad dream. Please just let me stay here," I begged. And she'd let me, as always. That was the routine for about 7 months. Finally, I got fed up with sharing a room with my little sister. Half the room was literally pink and princess and Barbies, while the other half was all football, animals, and dinosaurs. But just my luck, my parents managed to have enough kids to fill every room in the house. It wasn't fair that I was the only one to share a room, especially with someone so different from me. I begged my parents to have some kind of compromise. We had to build 2 extra rooms just to let Yasser and Roger have their own rooms. My mom explained. "Please, I'll do anything. I'll take anything. I'll take the ballroom," I pleaded. The ballroom wasn't really a ballroom. It was an enormous 40 by 30 room with an 18-foot ceiling. I honestly have no idea why that room was in this house. I still don't, but it was the only free room and I needed it. It was my mission to have my own room. After begging my parents for what seemed like the whole day, they finally gave in, under one condition. The condition, you ask? Nothing serious, just to trade my full bed for a bunk bed in case my little sister wanted to spend the night in there some nights. That sounded to me like it would defeat the purpose. Even so, with all the hauntings that went on in that house, I knew she'd eventually want to spend the night in whatever room I did get. So I agreed, and I took it, no questions asked. Ecstatic, I ran to my now old room and started moving everything into the ballroom. After a whole day's work, it was finally time to go to bed. To no surprise, there my sister was in the doorway asking to stay the night. As a celebration of my new space on my own, I happily let her. Hopefully after that night, I would get some privacy. That night, we both lay in the bunk bed trying to sleep. I sat there for what must have been an hour, and I was still wide awake. And suddenly, I heard strange hissing noises. My sister woke from her sleep and was confused, and I staggered off the top bunk, sitting down next to my sister looking at the door. The door was wide open, so things around the house were less scary. This door was about 26 feet away from where we were. My bed was in the complete back of the room. The hissing became more audible and recognizable, and it was definitely hissing all right. Then growling and hissing at the same time. My sister and I nearly broke our necks looking at each other. She had the most terrified look on her face. I slowly got up and started tiptoeing to the door. "Don't leave me here," my scared sister whispered. And so we tiptoed together. As we made it to about 8 feet from the door, we froze. Whatever was making these noises was about to show itself, and I wasn't ready for what I saw. Real quick, my room door was at the end of a hallway, so imagine you're walking down a hallway, and it's a dead end with a door on either side. My door was the one on the right. A few seconds of silence passed, and then here they came, slowly and warily walking, about 5 of them in a group. They were 6 feet tall from head to toe. Now, this is going to sound very, very bizarre, but I remember it vividly. I don't think I'd ever forget something like this. They looked like Velociraptors, but the most unsettling part about them was that they were glowing neon green. They kept easing forward until what I'd assume was their leader had hit the wall at the dead end. As the alpha stopped, they all simultaneously cocked their heads at me and my sister. They looked straight at us. We booked it back to our beds, as the last glimpse of the group was them turning to pursue us, claws out. We jumped onto the bottom bunk. My sister covered herself with blankets, and I smashed my face into the pillow trying to wake myself up, because I thought I was dreaming. If I was, it was the most real dream I've ever had. I screamed, "Wake up! Wake up!" It seemed like 5 minutes passed by, and then it went silent. My sister started whimpering under her blanket, and I slowly took my head out of the pillow. Nothing was there. It was quiet. Besides my sister's crying, I heard nothing else. I climbed down to my sister and she threw her covers off of her head. Then she wrapped her arms around me, and she was shaking. Extremely confused and frightened, I asked her what she had seen. And she said exactly what I thought. It was the exact same thing I saw. The next morning we told our parents, and of course they laughed at us. It was just a dream, my mom giggled. "The same dream?" I said angrily. "It's possible," she said. "Mom, I have dreams all the time. I know what it feels like to be in a dream, and this was no dream," I exclaimed. She shrugged and continued on her way to the kitchen. Strangely, it was the last of my nightmares about dinosaurs, but I happily gave back the ballroom and bunked with my little sister from then on. A few months later, my 4-year-old cousin drowned in our pool. It was horrible. And after that, the hauntings got worse. My mom was not in a state of mind with all the guilt of my cousin's death to deal with. So eventually, 4 months later after that, we packed up and moved out. We sold the house. I told my older siblings of this disastrous nightmare, and since we were out of the house and older now, we had nothing to be scared of, and we did a bit of research on that home. To our amazement, we found 4 death records listed on that property. This really wasn't surprising, seeing that we knew the place was haunted for all the years we owned it. But one thing really struck me. We found our address listed as an old dig site. But not just any dig site, a paleontologist dig site. It went into detail about what they found here. Bones here and there of carnivores and herbivores, they thought, all retrieved from our property before we ever moved in. After that, some of my questions were answered. And to this day, at the age of 21 and my little sister now 19, I ask again what she saw and if she really saw it. And I asked if she was just agreeing with me to keep up with a long joke. And that's when she gets angry when I assume she's lying. but I can see it's genuine anger and that she is 100% positive about what she saw. But I'll continue to keep asking her until I'm physically unable to, just to remind myself that I'm not crazy. Because I know what I saw that day. I don't know why we saw what we saw, but it was both the most bizarre and the most terrifying moment of my life. This was definitely one of the weirdest but coolest paranormal experiences I've read. Were they the phantoms of creatures long past or a bizarre nightmare shared between siblings? Let me know in the comments what you think. Thanks for watching, and better yet, thanks for listening. Be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe if you haven't. And if you want to see my project come to fruition, you can lend a hand at darknessprevails.org/project. I can't thank you enough.